Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go. Here you go.
Already? That's the Nothing Personal word of the day for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, as properly teased by Coca on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. Already. I can't believe it. The Celtics just won the title. I didn't like winning the title, and then all of a sudden you're in spring training 3 months later. You barely get to enjoy it. The offseason becomes so small and short. You have to get right back to work, and then it's gone. The minute NBA tips off tonight, the Celtics become the reigning champions. That's it. They're trying to defend. They're trying to repeat, trying to win back-to-back. But all the excitement that then turned into, hey, this franchise is for sale. Hey, Steve, you want to buy it for $6 billion? All right, let's try to find someone else. Hey, Wick, I want to keep running it. The NBA starts tonight with a doubleheader. Is everyone super excited? It seems like there's more teams who think they have a chance, which is ironic because everyone's thinking the Celtics are the best team and they're going to repeat in the Eastern Conference, where the Knicks have delusions that they can win their first title in over 50 years. The Sixers have not won a title. God knows, certainly under Embiid. I want to go through some storylines. These are 5 stories that I'm going to look at all season long. Number 1, how do you not start with the late game tonight? We're all going to be watching. Don't kid yourself. You know you're going to be watching the Lakers at home against the T-Wolves. You're going to be looking courtside. You're going to be sad that Jack doesn't go to games anymore. Longing for the days of Diane Cannon and wondering how that got replaced by Kim Kardashian. And you're going to see the starting lineups introduced, and you'll see LeBron James, of course. And then you'll look at the layup lines, and you'll see Bronny. You'll read an article that Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. will be at the game celebrating father-son. I'm in. All of the haters out there, I think it's cool. I don't think my son wants to spend any time with me, certainly not go on road trips throughout the course of a season. I love the whole, Bronny, give me the ball. Dad, meatloaf. I think the LeBron Bronny situation needs to be watched. And I think if I'm the Lakers, I came up with my solution. I'm going to end it right now, tonight, at home against the T-Wolves. Jeannie Buss is going to call in JJ Redick, who's getting all psyched up to coach his first game. Forgetting the days of podcasting and media appearances, thinking that he's starting a long, fruitful, positive coaching career with a team. We can do it. We can defend our Emirates in-season tournament cup. We can get through the play-in tournament. Right, LeBron? LeBron, how many minutes do you want to play tonight? Did you see that starting 5 thing, Coca, on Netflix, where LeBron was one of the 5 guys along with Tatum and Anthony Edwards, and LeBron, they're talking about he doesn't have the power that everyone thinks he has. And I was thinking, God, that sounds just like Aaron Rodgers. Strange. Then he didn't like the minutes restriction that the Lakers had him on, the load management. He was like, this is wrong. I'm in better shape than the rest of them. Father Time won't beat me. I'm going to become the first person in the history of sports to defeat age. I've got this. No problem. And last year, he's still probably a top 10. I'm not going to give you more, Coca. Top 10, top 15 player in the league. There is no question that LeBron is highly involved in personnel decisions. We went through in great detail the signing of Bronny, the nature of his guaranteed deal, the way they got around the salary cap to give the James family extra money by overpaying Bronny in a way that is epic, that got swept under the rug, Ipe style. It's my new word for Gangnam style is now Ipe style. You'll figure it out. Google it. Translator. Google Ipe translator. Swept under the rug. So LeBron will be asked, and they'll talk tonight, hey, when do you want Bronny on the court? How do you want to do that? We're going to stop the game like when you passed Kareem for points? Like, what's the plan here? No, just sub him in like a regular player, but not for me. And I know the rotation where I play the first 8 minutes of the first period. I don't think we need to see him in the first period, but I think we're going to get him in the second period. And I'll come in with about 9 minutes left in the second period, play the last 9 minutes of the half. We'll bring Bronny in, just for a couple secs. I just want to be there with him. I want to run a fast break. I want to do what we did in our backyard, in our court, at our home. I want to take it to the world. And then he'll be on the G League team. I think it's the only way to go if you're the Lakers, Coca. I think the only way is to put him in the game, have the moment, and then recognize that he's not one of the 12 best players. And if he is, then I think it's time for a leadership change in Lakerland. Now, it's possible that Jeannie Buss has just completely leaned in and given in to the fact that her franchise has become a joke and that they're not in it to win it. They're in it for the revenue. They're in it for the attention. They're in it for the possibility of greatness, but not the actuality of competitiveness. That's possible because Vegas has the Lakers over under at 42.5. And I assume the smart money's on the under because in the Western Conference, they're an afterthought at best. Yet here we are telling you the first story I'm looking at is LeBron Bronny. Maybe I just look at off the court, out of the ordinary stories. Who's got the games tonight, Coca? Is it TNT with the first night doubleheader? Last year of Inside the NBA on TNT with Ernie and Shaq and Kenny. You're going to turn it on. What are the odds? Let's think about this. I hadn't thought about this till just now. Think it with me. What are the odds that the Inside the NBA crew deals with the fact that this could be their last year and that Barkley says something, or it's in the intro as we celebrate our last season? They can't do that. They're in the middle of litigation. As we potentially start our final season together, would there be like gifts and jersey exchanges? Is it like a retirement tour? I'm picturing like Zaslav, the head of Warner Brothers, walking in with a motorcycle for all the guys and rocking chairs. Oh yeah, we're still paying you $20 million a year. We'd like you to cover politics. That'll work. It's going to be interesting. How about the Sixers? Josh Harris has to be feeling pretty good about himself, owner of the Commanders, owner of the Sixers, Commanders, Jaden Daniels, feeling good. Can score 40 points on the Panthers. Hopefully he's not hurt too badly. And then they got to go to opening night when the Sixers play and realize that Paul George is hurt. Embiid has come out and said, no back-to-backs for me the rest of my career. They basically acknowledged Daryl Morey, their team president, the China guy, you may remember. The team president said, hey, we got to be smart about it. Part of being smart is both Paul and Joel probably not play many back-to-backs, if any. So if you're not playing them, pretending they're both healthy, which obviously is hard to imagine they'll be healthy, but don't worry, Paul George will wake up this year and all of a sudden be able to play all season, and so will Embiid. But that said, when there are back-to-back games, does that mean that one sits out one and one sits out the other? I would think that you both wouldn't play the front end of the back-to-back and then have them both sit the back end. So then you're playing 2 games down a player instead of 1 game down 2 players and 1 game at full strength. If you're the front office, I would go the other way. I'm playing 1 game at full strength because I'd like to see what we have just in case we actually make the playoffs, give them reps together. The Sixers, to me, are out of runway. Just plain and simple. People don't even talk about the process anymore. But I'm going to be watching Paul George, the Sixers, Joel Embiid, watching general load management. I'm always interested in that as a story. I had to wait to see that they were going to change the 65-day rule, the 65-game rule for this season. They did not. I got the wait to see wrong. That is still the rule. If you want to be considered for MVP, you have to play 65 games. Joel Embiid will not. He actually just came out and said, I would probably never play back-to-backs the rest of my career. All right, no problem. Of course, they'll all say this. I'm doing this to be healthy for the playoffs. We do that in baseball too. We're going to watch your innings in April, May, and June because we want you healthy for October. Oh, crikeys, we're not playing in October because we stink. But don't worry. Joel's going to be healthy and ready for a long push in May and June. I'm sure they're going to need it. I'm also following Victor Wembanyama. Sophomore slump? Maybe. I think he added like 25 pounds this offseason. It's always fun when people give you the quote, yes, I had a very good year. They say, we'll see you next year when the season ends. The reason why it makes me smile is the season just ended, and already it's time for this season. But he put on 25 pounds, and he's super excited to be playing with Chris Paul. He may be the only player ever in the last 5 years to be excited to play with Chris Paul. But he claims that Paul is bringing great leadership to the Spurs. I can only imagine Popovich looking at Chris Paul and saying, oi, please try to mentor Victor. But Wemby said something good about Paul. He's just excited about his leadership, the teammate that he relies on, how unselfish he is. It's like when everyone starts dating or gets married, you're all super happy and thinking that this feeling is going to last. It's so good. We're going to be the exception. We're going to be intimate constantly forever. It's never going to fade. Our love will never fade. The Spurs are in for an interesting situation when they realize that Chris Paul may not exactly be the antidote to their losing, but Wemby getting a year older means they're getting closer to dominance. That's for sure. This will be the year also when we see whether A-Rod will get the T-Wolves. It's good because the Twins are for sale, and already there's thoughts if Glenn Taylor doesn't get the T-Wolves in arbitration. He's in arbitration, current owner of the T-Wolves, in arbitration against A-Rod, as they can't figure out whether or not there's a deal, and if so, what price. And A-Rod is hoping to buy the team at 1.5 so he can have a value of $2.5-3 billion immediately. Meanwhile, the Twins are for sale. They're trying to get 1.5 to 1.8. Just an ugly reminder for Major League Baseball where their franchise valuations are, that in the same market in Minnesota, the T-Wolves are just crushing it over the Twins. But the Twins as a potential booby prize, the fighting that'll take place, Adam Silver being asked, what's going on with the T-Wolves? Hey, listen, I just know I don't want to do that again. Well, aren't you doing that again in Boston? Yeah, but that's different. That's what we always say. That's what people say when something's exactly the same, but they're being inconsistent in their position and they're doing it for various reasons, from favoritism to financial reasons. And they say, oh, no, it's totally different. The scenario's changed. No, a step transaction is a step transaction. When you sell a team but don't take control or give control, 4869. When you buy a team but don't get immediate control, that's called a step transaction. When you sell a team and get to keep running the team. That's what Wick wants in Boston. Glenn Taylor, does he want that? Is he going to get it? He got it. And then A-Rod tried to fulfill the steps by financing the last vestiges of the purchase. And Glenn was like, I sort of changed my mind. Well, there's an independent arbitrator, wink, wink, who's going to decide between the A-Rod and Glenn Taylor. But don't worry, Adam Silver has nothing to do with it. He's a total bystander. He's going to tell you, hey, I get updates when you do. I pay attention to front office sports to get my updates. I'm going to give you a wait to see here. Let me give you my season predictions. 1, the Celtics are plus 155 to make it out of the Eastern Conference. I think the Celtics will beat the Knicks in the conference finals. It'll be Heartbreak Hotel for Knicks fans. And Jim Dolan will be looking at your face and fighting with Adam Silver, playing his guitar, and realizing that now it will be 52 years since a title, which is staggering. In the Western Conference, it's hard to go against the Thunder. The T-Wolves are a sexy pick because of Anthony Edwards. The Warriors, you don't know what you're going to get, and I'm saying you're going to get play in at best. The Mavericks with Klay Thompson, that'll be weird. Him, Kyrie Irving, and Luka in the same uni. People are excited thinking that could get him over the top. I think it's all about Hartenstein. Thunder got him. He's hurt, though. I'm still taking the Thunder over the T-Wolves in the Western Conference Finals. There's good value there. Thunder's plus 310. And then I've got the Celtics over the Thunder. Wait to see. The Celtics are actually going to win back-to-back championships, and you can get plus 310 at the moment, which really is not as much as you'd like to get. But to me, there's the Celtics and everyone else. There's Tatum and Brown and their contracts. Now, no Tito. Is that going to be a huge thing? Except it's always been no Tito, Coca. We're talking about Al Horford. He retired. I don't even think he'll be missed. NBA tips off tonight. Stay up late. You're going to want to watch Bron and Bronny. It's going to be fun. That's for sure. Coca, play me some music, please.
You know what I want? I want to talk to Samson.
So you want to talk to Samson? Get into my Twitter at David P. Samson. Or you can go on davidsamsonpodcast.com, ask me a question. Hello, Dave. Are you doing that? Are you pretending to be Levitard when he calls me Dave just to be funny because he knows I'm David? Hello, Dave. What does the WNBPA opting out of its deal actually mean? Go Yankees. I kept that in there because that was funny to me. You're asking a question about the WNBPA and their collective bargaining agreement, and you just wanted to tell me go Yankees, I guess because they're in the World Series. All right, thanks for asking. Now, what am I talking about? I'm going to let the current WNBA players and the current executive director of the union tell you what I'm talking about.
Yes, I want to opt out.
The WNBA, if you want us to be here, you have to pay us more. It's business.
Everyone, buckle up. It's about to be a fun day.
This is our opportunity to get it right.
It says we're out. It started with a card for those who are listening to this and not watching. It started with a black screen with white letters. It's business. And the final title card was we're out. That's like a double entendre. Like, hey, we're out. The video's over. Maybe it's a triple entendre. Hey, we're out. We're out of the CBA. And I think the third meaning may be we're out of a job. That video is something. Buckle up. It's about to be a fun day. What's exactly fun about opting out of a deal and negotiating a new CBA? I've been involved in a bunch of those. I'm not sure fun is the word I would use. Lockouts, work stoppages, strikes, storming out of negotiating rooms, trying to make sure you're paid when you're pregnant. All of that, that's fun. I don't know. I think that's a bizarre video to release. Hey, the Liberty Bibberty won the WNBA championship. All we do is talk about how great things are. So much revenue. We're so disappointed in the TV deal and the allocation that the NBA gave us. We're so excited to announce that the attendance at Barclays Center, the number of viewers in non-Caitlin Clark games, man, we are growing. It's all good. Now, if you do me a favor, go ahead and read the article that came out immediately after the season. Just a little nugget from the WNBA business side, where the NBA, unnamed executives and sources, said, by the way, the NBA is losing money hand over fist. Yeah, the timing of that was a total coincidence that there'd be an entire article written about the fact that the WNBA is losing about $40 million, even with all of the great things that happened during the course of the year, all of the positive attention. You have to look at the WNBA a little bit like you look at TikTok and YouTube. All the people that you think are rich are not rich. While the WNBA appears to be thriving as a business, it stinks The franchise valuation's low. The operating income for teams non-existent. EBITDA positive, negative. So the NBA wanted to make sure that you knew that, and they wanted to get it out there that they own 60% of the league. That's the NBA that owns 60% of the league. Then there are individual owners that own a bunch of the WNBA because they own 2 teams. So basically, NBA owners are responsible for about 75% of the WNBA, according to sources. So the players are going to opt out, is what they suspected, of course, because they were told. And then the NBA said, by the way, when the WNBA expands, the owners don't even get the expansion fees. Why is that? Because the NBA, as a group of 30 teams, needs to get paid back all of the capital they've invested in the WNBA over decades. This positioning started last year with Adam Silver saying, hey, all of this is really positive. We're super excited about the WNBA, but let's not mince words. This has taken forever. We have had years and years of pumping money in, still pumping money in. So the players said, I don't really care. The players said, we're opting out. We're out because we keep hearing how great things are. We want our piece. They made a bunch of statements yesterday that made me smile. The WNBPA has a president, Neko Gumake, and she's a current player for the Seattle Storm. And she wants you to know this. I always love this. This is a defining moment, not just for the WNBA, but for all of us who believe in progress. The world has evolved since 2020. We cannot afford to stand still. If we stay in the current agreement, we fall behind. Opting out isn't just about bigger paychecks. It's about claiming our rightful share of the business we've built, improving working conditions, and securing a future where the success we create benefits today's players and the generations to come. I feel like if we had a bigger budget here, Coca, we'd play some music. It's like marching band music. Follow me. Follow me into the light. The problem is the light for the WNBA players is a bit of an oncoming train because they're about to learn a very valuable lesson in collective bargaining, which is you can go ahead and opt out. And you can go ahead and start planning your PR for all the improvements you made by opting out. And you can try to convince all the people who don't know better that you made all sorts of progress when you get to announce that you have better food in the clubhouse, when you get to announce that you've got full charters, when you get to announce that minimum salaries have improved. So you can take whatever victory laps you want. But you can bet your bippy that the WNBA owners, meaning the NBA, is not going to do a new CBA with you that gives you this defining moment. You're going to have to make that up for yourself. Why? When you are an owner of a business, and I'm going to look at it from both sides, but when you're the owner of a business, you are looking at your product, which is the players. You're looking at your revenue. You're looking at your expenses. You're looking at your cost of capital, your cost of invested capital. You're looking at your streams of revenue, including ticket sales, media rights, all game day sales, food, bev, merch. You're looking at the money that you're borrowing, your capital structure. And you are treating this truly, as the WNBPA said, it's business. We have a whole show about that. And you can try to get everybody's attention with your cry for being treated equally. You are treated equally according to the financials that exist in the business. A defining moment. Does she mean like Kurt Flood? Free agency? That was a defining moment in baseball, no doubt about it. This is not me being anti-union, because if I'm the player, I 100%. I want a piece of this ever burgeoning pie that everybody's talking about. But what she's not realizing, and what the players have to be told, if the executive director is smart and the NBPA president is managing expectations, we are going to get a bigger piece of the expanding pie, but the first slice has to go to the owners. The owners need to be made whole before they are going to create a bigger hole. And side note, all excitement aside, we need to take a look at the actual numbers. You see, when you're at a collective bargaining table and you're negotiating, you're not focused on what the PR releases were by both sides. You do that when it comes to leaking your positions and various things that we'll see during this negotiation. But you're not negotiating based on the rhetoric that's put out by both sides. You're negotiating based on the reality of the underlying business. So the women are trying to figure out this new economic model. They clearly want to increase players' salaries. I get it. They want to improve their professional standards. I totally get that. They want retirement benefits, very important for current players, past players. And of course, they want pregnancy and family planning benefits. There aren't many men's leagues that have that as a huge negotiating. As a matter of fact, it's never been mentioned in any negotiating I've been a part of with any men's leagues at all. There are not players who have ever asked for paternity leave. When MLB gave baseball the paternity list, which is the few days to go have the kid, that was viewed as a victory for the players, and it was the easiest give by the owners. No problem. We're more than happy to give you 3 days to watch your wife have a baby or your husband have a baby, whatever it is that you're doing. Natural, adopted, doesn't matter. Take a few days. See you soon. But remember, the players who take the extended leave and they've got personal issues, they get put on something called the restricted list, which means they're not getting paid. So if you are the women in the WNBA, you have to say, hey, we can't model ourselves after the NBA or after Major League Baseball. We have to model ourselves after the fact that we're a women's league, and you're stopping us from getting pregnant because we don't feel like we've got the benefits. We don't feel like we have the support. We have to lie about it when we are and go full fast break and tape it up. They're going to come to an agreement that will allow the NBA owners and Adam Silver to be able to support women in this day and age. They'll be able to come out and say that we have done a tremendous amount of helpful benefits to the players. Maybe they'll look to the women's soccer league and say, hey, we'll give you 6 months of fully paid maternity leave. Maybe they'll do that. Do you know why the women's soccer league and the WNBA is willing to do that for the short-term future? Because the amount of guaranteed money is so small. When you've got a maximum contract of what's the highest paid, Sarah, do you have this for me, or Coca? What's the highest paid WNBA player, if you had a guess? I'm going to guess $350,000. That is out of nowhere with no information. That's just an educated guess. Coca, am I close? While Coca's looking at that, or Sarah's looking at that. It's pretty easy when you look at the women's soccer league, what their maximum is. Jackie Young of the Aces, I was way off. She makes $252,000. So let's pretend that she gets pregnant and she gets 6 months off. Now, 6 months paid, is that the 6 months of the season? Let's pretend it is. That's going to be a negotiation, by the way. But let's just pretend it is. Then she'd get $250,000. How's the exposure on that? What's the number of WNBA players who get pregnant? What's the number of WNBA players who would like to get pregnant who don't because the benefits aren't good enough? 50? Is that what we're talking about? Giving 6 months pay to 50 women, all making $250,000? Ready to do some math? Now are you ready to measure that against what it would mean to give retirement benefits to existing and former players in the WNBA? To increase pension benefits by even a point? You see at the table It's so important to know what the other side wants. And it's so important to give them what they want. As Billy Bob Thornton would say in Love Actually, I'll give you whatever you want as long as it's something that I'm willing to give. It's not bullying. That's negotiating. That's leverage. And what the WNBPA did with this video and with these statements and coming out and telling you what they're after and how it's going to be a fun day of negotiating and already indicating where their head is. It was like Major League Baseball players saying, I can't believe we lost that negotiation. We got this for you, boys. We got you a chef in the clubhouse. We got you better game starts so you don't have to land at 2 a.m. It's like a joke. We'll be following this story closely, I can tell you that. But in terms of what the opting out means, thank you for your question. It means they're about to start a negotiation. It means there's likely going to be a work stoppage because the players seem resolute in their delusion of what they're going to get, though they do deserve better, obviously, a bigger piece of a bigger pie. That's always a tough one. Everyone should want the pie to grow because your same size piece and a bigger pie means you're getting more. But if they want a bigger piece of a bigger pie, it's going to take some pain. Wait to see. That's not an official wait to see, Coco. It's just a general wait to see. All right, we come back. We are going to review a series from our friend Bill Lawrence, and I use that term loosely, though I am trying to get him on the show. Bill, if you're listening, yes, I'm watching Shrinking as well. You know where I rank Ted Lasso. Oh, Coco, before we go to break, I started doing on my phone something that I didn't have. We have on our website, davidsamsonpodcast.com, my top 100 movies. I started a list of my top 25 TV shows. I have them all written down here. There, you can't see them because it's going to be a surprise when we unveil it. I'm having a hard time putting them in order. Spoiler alert, Lovesick is on the list. All right, we take a break. We're going to review a new series. Wonder if that'll make my list. Then we're going to talk a little World Series. It's hot, 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 Buster Poindexter. We'll be right back. Hello, it's David. I watch a movie every day or a TV series. I was up early this morning. Shocking. New episode of Only Murders in the Building, the denouement. The finale is next week, Tuesday. Another amazing season, but we'll review it next week at some point. I finished watching last week. I think I'm so nuts, Coca. I keep my list of current shows, what I'm watching, and what day they're on and when it ends. So, like Shrinking started October 16th. It ends December 25th. New episodes come out Wednesday. I'm watching that. Only Murders in the Building ends October 29th, and it comes out Tuesdays. But once I finish, like with Bad Monkey, which I finished, I delete it. So I actually don't remember when it ended, but I'm going to say last week. Bad Monkey is based on a book by Carl Hyacin of the Miami Herald. Stars Vince Vaughn. It's so good. It stars the guy from Catastrophe. Well, you should watch Catastrophe. Rob Delaney. So talented. The amount of CGI is quite significant because, spoiler alert, he may lose a limb. But don't worry, he's one of the stars. Bad Monkey does have a monkey in it, which always makes me think of Patrick Dempsey and movie theaters. Always. Maybe that's a joke. I bet Sarah has no idea what I'm talking about. I just realized. Have you ever seen Outbreak, Sarah, with Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Cuba Gooding, Morgan Freeman, Donald Sutherland? Nothing? Nobody? About it's airborne. And they look around and they see little germs coming through the vent. And you wonder why I don't leave the house? Pee in a bottle? Humphrey style? Bad Monkey. There's not one bad episode. Literally not one bad episode. The story keeps you going. And if you're a Tom Petty fan, I've got a surprise for you. Every episode of Bad Monkey has Tom Petty music in it, except not sung by Tom Petty. It's called the cover. Except one time when he does sing, and it will blow your socks off. Bad Monkey on Apple TV Plus. That series alone, forget what else Bill Lawrence does with Shrinking and with Ted Lasso, but that troika on Apple TV Plus, I want to pay Apple TV more than I pay them just for those shows. Forget all the other original stuff. Today's Tuesday. Hang in there, folks. 3 more sleeps until the World Series starts. Both coasts of the country are super excited. LA versus New York. A lot going on. I want to talk about Tuesday. Just another manic Tuesday. The question is, what are they doing now? They're not quite ready. They're putting their roster together. The front office gets together. I remember putting our roster together for the World Series. You sit with your GM, the president, the owner, the manager. You're going through it. Talk to the coaches. Talk to your development people. Get your best 25 at that time, 26 guys now. Very important that they got to make the right roster decisions. They're doing their whole pitching plan. Ignore the fact that the Dodgers are telling you that game 1 is TBA. The Yankees have announced Garrett Cole. Before the series starts, they've lined up their pitching for the series and not for 1 game. They've lined it up for 7 games. They're just not going to announce it because very competitive reasons. We can't in any way allow the Yankees to prepare for who's going to be the first starter in the bullpen game. And we certainly can't let the Dodgers prepare for who our number 2 is going to be. Why would you not just announce it's Rodon? Of course he's going to start game 2. It's absurd to think anything other than that. And even if Nestor Cortez, who's rumored to be willing to come back and able to come back from his flexor strain, which, by the way, Coca, I haven't forgotten, is a wait-to-see loss for me if he is on the roster. No. I don't lose if he's on the roster. I lose if the minute he appears in the game, because I gave you wait to see that Nasty Nestor was done for the year with that flexor strain. But Aaron Boone said he's going to throw a bullpen today, and if the bullpen goes well, he's GTG. Does that mean he's good to go to be starter of game 4 instead of Heel? Game 3 instead of Schmidt? No chance, Toilet Pants. Good to go would mean he's available out of the bullpen. So that's what front offices have to figure out. Teams are also figuring out, all the employees are working. When you host World Series, there's parties. You have to host parties for MLB sponsors, for your sponsors, for your VIPs, for MLB's VIPs. You're figuring out tickets. It's a nightmare. You're working on that Tuesday with Game 1 Friday. You're allocating the tickets. You're getting strips, World Series strips. They come in strips. You can't buy 1 ticket. You either buy 1, 2, 6, 7, or 3, 4, 5. You're paying in advance. Even when MLB gives you strips, you're paying. You're getting the access. Face value. And these tickets are going for like $1,000 each on the Intergoogle, on all the resale sites. So you're figuring out where people are going to sit, and the Dodgers have such a huge ownership group. You're figuring out who's sitting where, who's got the owner's box. You're figuring out in each stadium who's in every suite. The commissioner's already done the walkthrough, not him, but his office. So there's an MLB suite. Then there's a suite for owners, figuring out where the owner's box is, and then you figure out who sits in the owner's box. Where's Magic going to sit? Will Magic be on the road? Will he not? Fox is figuring out where the celebrities are going to be, what shows they're promoting, who they have to show. They're going to get to Joe and John Smoltzy and figure out what they're promoting so they can tell you where to pan the camera. Bet you $1 they show Jason Bateman, Rob Lowe, and Mary Hart at the Laker games, and Magic Johnson for sure, plus some Fox personalities. Maybe even the Masked Singer will be unveiled like in the 7th inning stretch. So there's a whole lot of distraction that's going on right now for these teams. And what I remember about the break before the World Series, I just wanted to start. And we didn't have a long break because we had to win a game 7 in Chicago and then went right to New York, worked out. And I believe we started 2 days later. The other thing about hosting a World Series is that you need to make sure that the players understand not the expectation to win. You got to get 4 more or else it's a wasted season. There's no doubt about that. There is no consolation in this Yankees-Dodgers World Series. There's going to be a winner of the World Series, and then there's going to be misery for the loser. I do believe that Boone and Roberts both saved their jobs. Any sort of early exit by either one of these teams would have led to a firing, Losing the World Series will not. They will both return next year. They've got to feel pretty lucky about that, pretty good about that. But truthfully, the pressure on Robertson Boone is pretty substantial. Roberts getting his second World Series in his fourth appearance. Boone getting his first in his first appearance, being the architect and the leader of the 28th World Series victory for the Yankees over the dreaded Dodgers. Getting Judge his first ring and Stanton his first ring and Rizzo his second ring. And Jazz his first ring and Soto his second ring. Someone asked me on a show this morning, Coco, who you rooting for? Who's MLB rooting for? They're definitely rooting for 7 games. Spoiler alert, when I preview the series, 7 games seems pretty close to possible in this instance. I think they're rooting for the Dodgers, and let me explain why. They can't go wrong now that it's Dodgers-Yankees, but I think they want the Dodgers to win, MLB does, because then when they open the season next year in Tokyo, maybe they can do a second ring ceremony, some sort of special thing in Tokyo when the reigning champs play their first game, regular season game against the Cubs next March. They're committing an entire offseason of monetizing Ohtani as a World Series champion. He's a much bigger star worldwide than Aaron Judge. That's why I think they'd prefer the Dodgers to win. But above all, they want length because it's going to build to a crescendo. As a matter of fact, Game 3, Coca, is Monday night going against Giant Steelers in a Monday night game. Could this finally be the moment where there's a World Series game that can draw more than Monday Night Football? Could Yankees-Dodgers outrate Giants Steelers? I'll let you think about that, and I'll be back to you. Meanwhile, our nothing personal pick of the day won last night. Thank God. We had the Arizona Cardinals +1 versus the Chargers. A little walk-off field goal. Felt pretty good about it. Let me give you 2 picks for today. We're 145 and 155. The Knicks open the season against the Celtics. The Knicks will close the Eastern Conference against the Celtics. The Knicks are +190 on the money line against the Celtics at the Garden. And I am a sucker for this bet because I went to opening nights for the Heat when they were the reigning champion, the banners raised. Excuse me? I know I called it the Garden. That TD Garden, Coca. I was trying to do my Boston accent. No one calls MSG the Garden. They call it the Garden. But in Boston, it's, hey, we go into the Garden? I'm going to stick with that. Coca's in my ear yelling at me. Can I give my pick, please? Knicks +190 on the money line. Letdown game for the Celtics, and the Knicks view this. Hey, it's like Game 7. Come on, Cat. Get along with Tibbs. Here we go, McHale. We don't miss you, Dante. +190 on the money line to win the game on the road? Heck yeah. Then, of course, we're going to watch the Lakers, who are +1 underdogs against the T-Wolves at home. I think the Lakers win this game, give JJ Redick his first victory. And I think they do it because LeBron wants to, like, all the pictures that are being taken of the day that he plays with his son, and they're going to frame and put in the house, life-size, bobblehead size, whatever they do with their father-son moment, which is great. I'm all in. I tried to have a father-son moment last night, Coca. 20 minutes trying to apologize for all of the things I did wrong as a father. I try to do that like once a month to my children. I try to make it Yom Kippur almost monthly. Hey, man, atonement. Sorry. I think LeBron doesn't want to look at pictures of a losing game because LeBron is pretty competitive and he remembers stuff like that. So we are taking the Lakers +1 over the T-Wolves as well. Anyone else super excited for Sunday? NFL Week 8. Did you see Tua on the podium yesterday? I've never seen a player talk. I don't want to be so full of hyperbole. Can you believe the way Tua spoke? Coca, can you show people and have people listen to what Tua said, please?
Say to those that are worried that you might get hurt again, and this is something that's going to continue.
I appreciate your concern. I really do. I love this game, and I love it to the death of me. That's it.
What did your family say about you coming back, and how deep was that discussion?
Nobody, no one's sort of advice had affected anything that I thought in terms of returning. So no one had an effect on it. Had some conversations with my wife, but that was it.
Will you wear a Guardian cap?
Nope.
Why?
Personal choice.
What does that even mean? Personal choice because it doesn't look good? Is it a religious thing? I'll play this game to the death of me? I wonder whether he was being literal. I'm scared that he was. I'm not upset that Tua's coming back. I had it as a wait to see that he's going to come back and play the first game he can, which is this week 8 against the Cardinals. I just wish that he had workshopped a little of that. You can still be a good, tough football player and have a little bit of recognition and humility and say, man, I just love the game. But of course, I think about my future. How could I not? I have all the money in the world already today, but I explained to my wife, and I want her to be able to explain to my kids when they're older, and I can't recognize them or be able to put 3 sentences together to make a paragraph. I want to be able to say that we were very thoughtful, way more than the Haslams were in their decision to sign Watson. We were super thoughtful. And we spoke to doctors and we got second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions. Medical experts have said it's totally safe. Look, the coach said it. Barring any setbacks, he's ready to go. It's totally safe. He's been ready to go almost immediately after the latest concussion of him diving head first. How about a recognition when he said on the podium, no, I'm going to learn to play smart. I thought he did the whole jiu-jitsu thing in order to avoid this concussion. And then he went ahead and led with his head. I just don't exactly understand what his platform is. I would think a small amount of contrition, a small amount of appreciation. Instead, it was this bravado that to me seems so disingenuous because while all players could say they're one hit away from ending their career, I would say that we'd all agree that Tua is a bit in a different position, no? Do you think defensive linemen and defensive backs are thinking, oh man, I can't hit him. I'm not going to hit him. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to end his career. You're playing the game of football, the violent game of football that we are all addicted to by the scores of millions watching, fantasy, betting, all the things we're doing. We're doing it and cheering on the players to keep going and hit harder. Let's get some skulls cracked. And then we just turn away when we see Jim McMahon, or we forget about what happened to Junior Seau. We don't give any credence to Aaron Hernandez other than, oh, I think he liked guys. No, we can't in any way talk about the violence of the sport. And why should we, if the people doing it are of sound mind and body, which I didn't see him sign any legal documents, but he certainly sounded it, Tua did, in that sound we gave you. If he's ready to go out there and play, why should, what are we, the moral police? Are we the brain police? Do I have to add to the list of people I don't feel sorry for? People who come back and play football when they shouldn't and then get hurt and perish? I'm not putting them on that Le Batard list. I'm not putting Tua on that list at all, actually. Though, I would have liked a bit more intelligence. Maybe it's just me. What's going to happen week 1 against the Guardians, or it's now week 8, when he's hit and they bring him to the sideline? Does he get the Josh Allen treatment where he just smelling salts, get right back in? Or does he get the Tua treatment where, he's hit and then he's out and then done? Or does he get the regular football player treatment where they sort of look and they say, that probably is a blue tenter, but we're not going to be overly cautious because then we're going to be looked at as treating Tua differently. And we can't have that for litigation purposes. We can't have anyone believe that we look at concussions as a precursor to more concussions or longer concussions or more dangerous concussions or concussions with longer term ramifications. We can't acknowledge that. We're fresh off a settlement where we said, we're not so sure. Don't really think that CTE is a thing. I kept wondering while watching Tua, did he have CTE now with his statements? I wonder if people are saying, no, that's toughness. That's what's being exhibited. reckless indifference and disregard toward personal health and safety or family. Yeah, I don't need to talk to anyone. I spoke to my wife. We did some math. We got out the Apple calculator. We turned it upside down. We were able to do sine and cosine. And we realized and figured out that we need to play. Not sure where they get that math from. But that said, Tua's coming back. I think what he probably did, if I were to guess, is when his agent spoke to him and when his wife spoke to him, or his kids maybe, I think he just looked at them and said, listen, it's just business. I'm ready to go. It's nothing personal.